Everybody, please have a seat. Good evening, all of you. On behalf of Michelle and myself, I just want to welcome everybody to the White House. We scheduled this dinner a few weeks ago because I thought it'd be a good opportunity for leaders of both parties and their spouses to spend some time together outside of politics. And tonight seems like an especially fitting occasion to do this. Obviously, we've all had disagreements and differences in the past. I suspect we'll have them again in the future. But last night, as Americans learned that the United States had carried out an operation that resulted in the capture and death of Osama bin Laden,
I had a white light flash in front of me. I felt like I was sort of looking around at this white light thinking...
You were inside this whiteness, and that's all there was for me.
What's going on?
I didn't feel any sensation about falling or moving or anything like that.
And
I was just sort of almost like trapped.
Black everywhere. Screams, lots of screams going on. And I was trying to figure out where I was.
Why aren't we moving? What's going on? But then sort of dust and smoke started to come in through the door, the communicating door between the two carriages.
Just coming down on me.
And then I thought, well, perhaps this is a little bit more serious.
I remember,
I
thinking, got to get out. I've got to get out. I've got no idea if I made my injuries worse, but I just kept
I thought,
wanting to
I'll get my warrant card out here. I need to, identify myself. So I got my warrant card out and said, I'm a police officer. Can I help? And I went through to the door and found I could open it and got through to the next carriage. And then I realised that we were in trouble.
On top of all these shards of metal, I could see one of my trainers, one of my new white gleaming trainers.
I will say there was a lot of blood
all over it.
The air was full of, to start with, I could taste it, in the air.
I remember somebody shining a torch in my face and looking at me and saying, "Oh no, this one's gone." I must have just been so out of it that, to all intents and purposes, I appeared to be dead. And at that point, I was like, "That's, I'm not dead. That's." I've got to do something here.
No, I talk about
I've got to
luck.
Focus.
I talk about fate. And what happened was, my guardian angel come down.
I'm going to help you. You're going to be all right. And she was conscious throughout, but obviously in a great deal of pain and very concerned that her family didn't know where she was. And I reassured her. I said, you'll be got out. You'll be all right.
There's no question about whether she. Is there a question about whether she saved my life? She definitely 150% saved my life. I would not be here if it wasn't for her,
I was blinded in my left eye with a piece of human shrapnel from Tanweer's leg, from his shin bone.
I just remember, being very weak, but sort of looking up from lying down, not sitting up, but looking, and just seeing this white sheet, but nothing there, My mum in hospital kept saying to me, I was like, "But Mum, I've got no legs." And I remember her grabbing my face and going, "But Martine, you are still you. You didn't have a really bad knock on the head. You didn't have a brain injury. You can get new legs. You are still you." And I think that, I'm so lucky that I am still me. And I'm so lucky that, I'm still here.
People died, so that's you feel so angry on their behalf, but that sort of thing. But for me personally, I find it very difficult to get to attach any emotion to it, really.
The phone rang, and it was Lizzie, my daughter, who was in a terrible state and said, "Just something's happened to Jenny. Something's happened to Jenny." And I thought she knew something. And I realised that she didn't. And she said, well, haven't you heard? And I said, heard what? And she said, there have been explosions in London on the Underground.
It's hard to find, again, the description of that horror.
I'm the only one in that area, as I've understood from the inquest, that survived without loss of limb. And many people died right next to me.
And my cousin telephoned, and he was the first person that said to me, this isn't looking good, is it? What kept us going through that day was the sort of the minutiae of domestic ritual, of making sandwiches that nobody was going to eat, and cups of tea that were going to be left cold, and taking rubbish out. And you know what I mean? You think, well, why would you bother about things like that? But actually, those are the things that you have to cling on to, because, you know, this extraordinary thing is unravelling.
I still try, somewhat foolishly at times, to believe I can talk about the last moments of Stan's life without it hurting. He died soon after, and as he did so, his muscles relaxed, and I lowered him to the track and closed his eyes and said a prayer for him. He knew I was there. We had a unique bond, albeit for a very short time.
Every 2 or 3 minutes I was leaving another text for Jenny, or sending her another text, or leaving another voicemail. Jenny was blown out of the carriage with the doors. It was as if this thing that we had been waiting for suddenly was there and just, I mean, I don't use these words lightly, but it just kind of blew our family apart.
The killings that have taken place in Iraq of perfectly innocent people as a result of British and US foreign policy far outnumbers the number of people who died in our trains that day. It doesn't make any one death any less important